Down here. Oh, could you please stand up?
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
in line with what you were saying. I'm quite curious to find out what you ladies from Finders Keepers, how you initially selected your participants and how that's evolved.
Well, we base it on innovation. It's always been that way. In the beginning, we compromised it a little bit to get where we are now, but it's all about innovation and the way the designer presents itself, and we have to try and separate ourselves from our personal tastes as well. That's very, very hard, but it's sort of more about variety, and we don't want to double up on things. We want there to be products to appeal to everyone, so that's how we base it, really.
Yeah, and when we initially started, we actually had to go and scout people to kind of establish what we wanted to. So there was a little bit of pushing that boundary as well. Yeah.
Because what's interesting is that just because you make it into one Finders Keepers, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed to ever be in Finders Keepers again, really.
Well, we give preference to designers that haven't done the markets before, so we like to rotate them and keep it fresh, and give preference to emerging, like, you know, designers who aren't so established. We like to help out.
But there are a couple of things that people can do to help stand out above the pack. And I know that you mentioned that just even being able to describe your work in a couple of words and having some good press images on hand. And were there any other points that kind of help people rise above the pack?
I think it's definitely become quite competitive now than it was initially. People actually putting their work out there with catalogues and you know, all the right kind of information, and presenting themselves more in a professional way instead of just saying, oh, I've got some cool bags, can you let me in? Last minute the week before. So yeah, it's definitely been something that we've had to build and educate people with, but it's also been a realistic thing for us to say, you know, if you can't get into a market, how are you going to get a stockist? Because those presentation skills aren't going to work for you. So yeah.
Great. Do we have another question?
Hi, just want to ask you about what is the most enduring experience when you kind of want to quit those projects of yours, and how do you pick it up yourself again?
Okay, time for the depressing stories again. Everyone think about the moment where you almost quit. All right, we're going to start over here.
I guess we almost quit when it was our last Hope Street markets. I think we just got burnt out because we had a lot of challenges with the venue, council problems.
And the council.
Yeah, council problems again, and just so many regulations and restrictions that we couldn't fund, and we just felt a little bit, just burnt out and almost gave up, and then Carriage Works came to us at the right time.
I think it was also a point where being in a partnership and having a sense of community and people that backed us really helped us get through those grey days. We were really at a point where, why the hell are we doing this, and why do we need to keep going? And we really needed that time to reflect on, you know, what was important to us, and that really, really changed our direction. And we came out with a better force and better plan of what we wanted to do, and that really helped.
And it is helpful having another person to push you along instead of just being on your own.
For us, there's one thing that comes to mind. We had, I guess, spent the better part of a year designing and editing and having contributors write for the book. We'd pretty much done everything but print it, and we had a small independent publisher on board, and at the 11th hour, before it was to go to print, it was probably close to 11:59 and 11 o'clock, but it was literally days before we had to go to print and have it ready in time for our exhibition and launches and so on. The publisher came back to us and said, oh, I've had a change of heart, I think we should halve the print run, I want to make it a soft cover, and totally compromised our original vision, and we all instantaneously agreed that we've got to get out of this. We wanted to put out the best possible product that we could, and we got very lucky in the end. We pulled out of that and hadn't signed any contracts, fortunately, and we were lucky enough to have another publisher, Hardy Grant Books, jump on board, you know, the last minute, and it all got done, fortunately.
But that's kind of a good lesson in you know, if your instinct says it's wrong, or if it's not living up to the amount of work that you've put into it, then it's better to kind of cut your losses rather than go ahead with something you don't feel completely 100% about.
Yeah, very much. We didn't want to compromise it at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to say every Monday night, I said to myself driving home after, you know, 3 hours work, this is the last year. I can't take this anymore. But guess what? After you get the event off the ground and you have it, you just can't wait to do it all again. It's a bit weird, but...
I mean, there's so many I could go into, and they'd be mainly filled with swear words, so I won't go into those. But the very first year for me, speaking to one particular potential sponsor of the event, we're going through exactly what we wanted to do. And we had the vision right from the outset, but we knew we had to grow organically to get to that point. And this distributor said, well, I tell you what, we'll give you 50 grand. I was like, great, first year, awesome, we're out of the gates running. And he said, what we're going to do is we're going to fly our team over to go in the competition. We're going to do this much branding at the event. We'll give you this many T-shirts and stickers to give out. And we expect you to have this much prize money, because our team riders are some of the biggest names in the world, and so they've got to have some prize money to win. I was like, well, we should be able to achieve that with the 50,000. He goes, oh, no, the 50,000 is paying for all of that to happen. And I was like, so where's the 50,000? Well, that's our sponsorship of the event, bringing our riders out and handing out all our product. So it doesn't really work that way. And I was like, oh no, I've got to go through this with another 20 companies. And but once we just got it over the line the first year, it's kind of like, there's something here, we've got to keep going.
I think, sorry, Jess, I think it's probably the same for us. You know, once we put this book out, and then it's like we can hold it in our hands, and it's there for life, and it's on it's in bookstores, and it's in the MCA bookstore actually. And you know, everything else is forgotten in a way, and you know, we're looking at doing another one. You know, or I am. I'll look forward to doing it again anyway.
You